and thank you for listening to AI Success Factors podcast. We help enterprise adopt artificial intelligence. This is Samuel Matthew, your host. In simple terms, AI adoption is a three-step process: identifying the right AI opportunity, tying it back to a business value, and align it to a business goal. If you're a leader, needs help demonstrating ROI on your existing AI initiatives, or want to get a buy-in for a new AI initiative, you are in the right place. Our mission is to empower enterprise leaders to navigate, transform, and lead by applying AI into their business. In this show, we interview analytical and business leaders who successfully implemented AI into their business. In the conversations we feature, you will learn how these companies reach strategic business goals. It's a pleasure and privilege for our listeners to develop a point of view from the insights shared in this podcast. Today we're joined by Jacqueline Chen, Senior Director of Analytics at Anderson Merchandisers, one of the nation's largest full-service retail marketing and sales merchandising firms. With operations in thousands of retail locations, Anderson partners with top US brands and retailers. Jacqueline brings 25 plus years of experience in analytics, data science, and shoppers' insights. She was formerly Chief Analytics and Insights Officer at Sam's Club, leading analytics across marketing, merchandising, operations, product, and financial services. She has also held senior positions at PepsiCo, Clorox, Procter & Gamble, and other retailers, driving market leadership and building high-performing teams. Her cross-industry expertise offers a unique lens on data's roles in enterprise growth. In this episode of AI Success Factors, we explore the evolving future of retail merchandising, from AI-enabled shelf execution and hyper-local personalization to the rise of Agentic AI and omni-channel data integration. As leaders face pressure to grow margins, modernize operations, and localize experiences, our conversation with Jacqueline sheds light on where real innovation is happening and what leaders must prioritize next. If you are navigating AI adoption in retail or consumer industries, this episode is packed with practical perspective. Here is our conversation. Hey, Jacqueline, welcome to AI Success Factors podcast.
Hey, Samuel, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Before we start, I want to paint a picture on what we see in the industry. We're witnessing a fundamental transformation in how retailers are planning, executing, and personalizing the in-store experience. Traditional merchandising is giving way to a new age, one where AI forecasts demand and run in-store operations. We also see AI-powered immersive and experimental displays that blurs the line between shopping and storytelling. At the same time, the walls between digital and physical retail are disappearing. Visual strategies are no longer confined to in-store signage or e-commerce banners. They are becoming seemingly integrated, data-informed, and increasingly personalized. To the benefit of our executive audience, let's explore what this transformation really means. I want to start by asking, what is your take on the transformative shift we're seeing in retail merchandising, where analytics and AI are truly taking center stage?
All right, well, thank you for the question. AI adoption in retail is really one of my favorite topics. It's a true, rare, and transformative opportunity that will reshape our century-old business operation and model. So it's exciting to talk about it. We are actually at a pivot moment where retail merchandising is on the verge of shifting to intelligence-driven execution. This actually will revolutionize our process in decision-making, planning, execution, and will even redefine the talent that we need in this industry. AI and analytics will become even more deeply intertwined, not only reinforcing each other, but also evolving in distinct but specialized direction.
Jacqueline, so what do you think will be the most disruptive changes in how we manage shelf level execution? Because your company is more into merchandising. So just give me a perspective on that.
Sure. Today, a lot of execution in store, in brick and mortar and shelf are very labor intensive. And a lot of designs and planning today are based on prescriptive analysis or design, right? So it's based on history and experience. And in the future, a lot of those labor intensive design planning on the shelf, for the store, for supply chain, in the back office will be transformed to be predictive design and planning conducted by AI. What it means by is instead of looking back is still the important feeding information into the prediction, but AI will help us using the past human wisdom and experience to predict what needs to be done in order to get it right. Therefore, generate instruction for human to execute. So unleashing a lot of human power that is currently being occupied. That will be the biggest disruptions that will happen in the next few years.
So what we see is working along with the store associates, helping him or her doing their work. That's what I see from what you're explaining about. And we always hear about personalization and experimental merchandising a lot recently. So can you tell a little bit about the personalization and experimental merchandising?
Yeah, sure. Personalization actually started a long time ago in the old fashion, right? A lot of loyalty program, product offer, digital coupon that you get is a certain type of personalization. So out of personalization, shelf planning, and experimental merchandising, personalization tend to be more developed than the other, but because of the longer experience that retailer has, so more retailers have adopted to AI-driven personalization retailing today ahead of the other space. And it's beyond just traditional product coupon offer in e-commerce. I'll take one example today. It's not related to retail, but it's type of related to retail. If you are an Android user, you receive personalized news push from Google that's specific to the topic you read yesterday and the website that you visited yesterday or last week for shopping. All this are actually backed by AI model. This kind of personalization is beyond just traditional coupon. It eventually will be implemented into shopping experience beyond just inside and outside of the retailer's ecosystem. It will go out to all the consumer touch point beyond just the retailers itself. And in regard to experimental merchandising and shelving planning, these two are pretty new in brick and mortar in the face of discovery leveraging AI. Retail business is a very complex ecosystem, and everything in that entire system eventually will be put in front of the shopper through the shelf and through the merchandising in store and on a website. So one change on the shelf or on merchandising in store is actually ripple thousands of change behind the scene that link to this shelf. It does require AI ecosystem. It's not just single AI model. It required the entire system to be backed by multiple and thousands of AI model. So it does require some time to be developed and experimented. But retailers have started and baby step, making one at a time, and that is coming.
Correct. As you rightly said, it's very complex. In order to make one change, there are a lot of other systems and processes getting affected. So obviously, this is going to be a well thought out, well planned option for sure. And with this changing landscape, from your perspective, what are the top three strategic priorities that retail executives are focused on today?
Mm. The two priorities that I have seen are pretty common across different type of retailers, whether it's e-com or whether it's brick and mortar, whether it's apparel or whether it's traditional grocery or general merch retailer. The first one is growing revenue and market share beyond the traditional brick and mortar But people would say, oh, does that mean it's e-com? It's actually not limited to e-coms anymore. E-com already become a table stake. The expansion actually going into beyond just those two domains, such as retail media. And there's so many retail company recently announced their new, reamp or elevation of the retail media network. That's one example. And more retailers are also going to the space of data monetization. So that is one area that they prioritize it, which also require a lot of AI and modeling to back. The second priority is truly AI driven, which is intelligence driven optimization of operational efficiency. For example, inventory replenishment management, workforce planning, or even supply chain management from end to end, etc. So those two are very common right now across all the retailers that retailers are looking for help and support and elevate and modernize.
So, for the first point that you mentioned about the data modernization, do you think the giants like Walmart or Amazon are more advantageous position when it comes to data monetization compared to brick and mortar companies?
Yes, I will say that it's probably not necessarily just the two. Any company that are more advanced in e-commerce business, they already have the advantage of the infrastructure that they can monetize the data easier than the others that have not gone to that space. So the more developed they are in e-com, the easier that they can monetize their data. So by default, the two that you name, they are known for having developed more advanced in e-com than the other retailers. So they do have advantage of monetizing their data earlier than the other.
Correct. And we hear a lot agentic AI autonomous systems on the floor now on the retail space, at least in the warehouse, though not in the retail space. So, what role do agentic AI systems play in enhancing decision making on the ground floor of retail today? For example, rebalancing the inventories, preventing out of stock situations, or speeding up promotional rollouts, or dynamically allocating resources as per the local demand. There are a lot of things that you do behind the scene, correct? So, how does this agentic AI systems help us now?
Right. Agentic AI actually start playing core role in some area that you mentioned. In another word, is they are basically the one that start giving instruction to human behavior or employee to execute what is being put out from the agentic AI. And currently, the core play is mainly in inventory replenishment management, pricing, and assets protection for both e-com and brick and mortar. And also of course, in the e-coms, user UX space, like user experience space. A lot of this workflow planning or execution design tasks have already leveraged AI model to generate specific instruction for individual store, for individual warehouse, localize the e-commerce experience and synchronize with their large back office ecosystem for procurement and warehousing transportation. So in this area, AI is already a core player, and it's not even something that we just started. It's pretty mature and going into probably even more mature in the next few years.
Got it. So, when companies started putting investments, whether it's for Gen AI applications or agentic AI applications, how retailers evaluate the ROI when it comes to investing in this platform for merchandising, especially with the array of activities that you take care of it?
Yeah, the measurement currently are still using very traditional form of immediate dollar generated directly from each individual initiative or each individual platform. Because most of this AI or data investment are still standalone and individual initiative. They have not been spiderweb into an ecosystem yet. So as of today, they are still the right metrics. That the way that being used as A/B testing, measuring the immediate dollar as a traditional ROI calculation for all the other initiatives, they are still the right measure today because that is how the status of development is. However, as AI adoption continue evolving, eventually all the individual platform initiative will be built on each other, on top of each other, and will become a spider web type of ecosystem. This traditional approach of measuring ROI using A/B testing on individual initiative will need to be changed and elevated to factor in intangible costs of the ripple effect of one change or one development impacting both upstream and downstream connection in the ecosystem. I don't know what that will look like yet, but that will be something that analytic industry will need to put in innovation, R&D to really figure it out because the world and the data world is changing and we need to change our method to measure ROI.
Got it. Because there is associated apps, other systems in place as well, correct? So on the same line, what KPIs or success metrics do we track when we invest in these technologies or helping you inventory outage and all kind of things that you do?
As of today, all the metrics that retailer is measuring themselves, because all retailers has very rigorous KPI to measure everything they do. That I would name a few, but they are not all inclusive, right? There's so many that they measure everyone. Traditional KPI is dollar to dollar ROI. $1 investment in how much dollar you get return. What's the incremental sales? Those are the dollar to dollar measurement. Then on top of that, there are a lot of operational efficiency measure. For example, what's the out of stock rate? What's the fill rate of e-com order? What's the time and rate that you replenish the out of stock? What's your shrink rate? What's your labor cost? Those metrics are operational efficiency metrics. They are still the right one today, and that's how the organization are measuring today. Now, these are still valid, but as AI start driving decision and planning, I would suggest that we also need to look at customer experience because any AI-driven decision planning and execution, we are still touching the human. They are serving the human shopper. And we can't just easily just focusing on the hard KPI, which is dollar to dollar and the number, but we also need to measure how customer experience is contributing to the dollar. It's not just about tracking the customer's satisfaction. It's actually tracking what is every single data point on the customer satisfaction would drive your hard dollar. 1 point lift of NPS is equal to 1 million revenue or is it 500,000 revenue? That will help us to pinpoint which area we need to prioritize AI investment because once you put it in, it will improve customer experience as well.
Got it. That's interesting. So, Jacqueline, I wanted you to talk about a couple of recent trends that we see in the industry, especially the one that I'm curious to know your take on is hyperlocalization, personalization. There is a greater interest in using AI to localize retail strategies like customizing products, layout, promotions based on the neighborhood-specific data. Early, it was for a region because I remember a few years back, we separate the regions and all the promotions and all the initiatives will be run for that particular region. Now it's more about particular store or particular neighborhood. That's where we're headed to. What are some ways retailers are leveraging AI to better align with local customer preferences and to drive a measurable impact? And where do they get this information from for us to start with?
A lot of neighborhood type of personalization today are done through retailers' own data, whether it's through their loyalty card program data that they can track the customer's behavior within the store. But it's actually a more prescriptive lens to look back to the past history and then recommend how to have the consumer to repeat the similar behavior in the store. However, more and more retailers start stepping out of that scheme is actually going to the predictive AI modeling driven personalization. As I mentioned before, they can leverage third-party data, trying to map with third party so that when you drive by a store before, like still 1 mile away, they can identify that there's a chance you can pass that store or that area, that they can generate some prompt to generate your interest to come into the store and generate incremental traffic. This data is beyond what the retailer has access to. That's where the partnership will need to come from with third party, either to do PII mapping, find their data to join back with their loyalty card data. That will be the next generation personalization, or you call hyper-localization direction, is leveraging third-party data to do it. Partnership.
Beautiful, beautiful. And because that got my attention, because I remember I read it from McKinsey that particular localization part itself is a revenue unlock of 2 to 4% incremental revenue growth, just because of this targeted merchandising and localized personalization. That's a large number when you look at a company or a retail company that making billions of dollars in revenue per year. That's a large one.
It's a huge space and high potential.
Exactly. And one other area I wanted to ask you about the integration of digital and physical shelf insights. There's a growing trend we see integrating both these spaces to support omni-channel strategies for a tailored experience. Can you break down what omni-channel strategies are in focus here? And what kind of data are we trying to integrate, which is common between these two? For me, my experience when I walk down the aisle of a physical store and when I sit in my chair and couch and just search internet on the digital store, it's a completely different experience, right? So I'm trying to understand, how do you bring it together to make a cohesive strategy?
Right.
If you can just break it down.
Yeah, it's an area that a lot of retailers or even a lot of companies try to create that holistic shopping experience for their customer, because that will just generate that sticky point to build loyalty and repeat purchase and eventually translate into revenue and profit growth. The most difficult challenge right now is how to generate a common identifier between the e-com shopping system, data system, and the brick and mortar data system, because traditionally most of the e-com shopping system were developed independent of the brick and mortar system. Because of that, they did not have a common identifier to link the two to say this is the same shopper. So that's the number one barrier that all companies who want to develop their omni-channel strategy will have to tackle first. And some companies develop better solution because they have very high coverage in their loyalty program. And then they promote that. They try to leverage that loyalty card number across multiple channels so that you can tie it back. A lot of retailers, either they don't have high coverage or enrollment rate in their loyalty program, or they don't even have a loyalty program. Then you can consider leveraging third-party data who actually have those access to help retailer to map back their shopper data and other information across different type of shopping channel. For example, using PII data under the permission of PII, and then try to map those, your name, home address. If that's not the case, you can also map the household level data. So then eventually you have certain accuracy or high accuracy of data that you can tie back the same shopper across channel, then you can generate and track the shopper's behavior and generate your holistic omni strategy.
Got it. Awesome. Awesome. Jacqueline, when you look ahead 3 to 5 years from now, what do you see the biggest transformation coming in-store retail execution? I'm talking about cross planning, pricing, and in-store operations for improving margins and customer responsiveness.
3 to 5 years from now, a lot of those labor-intensive execution in the front line in store will be changed to intelligent-driven execution. So in the future, what I can imagine, the biggest transformation is the frontline store staff will actually receive instruction from AI model behind the scene, which has been localized and personalized and even, specific to stores, to specific tasks, and less rely on human judgment. So a lot of judgment or adjustment that are required on the spot today will be streamlined and simplified for the frontline staff. All they need to do is execute and, of course, make adjustment when it's necessary. So that will massively improve operational efficiency. And most importantly is the operational consistency and quality, because you take out that human deviation and human judgment error. But that also means the biggest transformation for in-store frontline execution and the role and responsibility of the future stores staffs in store will be different than today, and everyone has to elevate their skill and elevate their role and responsibility.
Yeah, that's the truly AI-enabled store operations. I'm really excited to see how that looks like in practice for sure.
So you just pick on the robots instruction and execute
it. So, Jacqueline, we're almost at the top of the hour. Normally, we wrap up the podcast with guest advice for the executive audience. So I want to ask, what are the common mistakes leaders make when launching AI or data initiatives in merchandising space?
I will summarize it in 2 words. The first word is distraction, and then the second word is fear. With AI being the shiny object and the buzzwords these days, a leader can easily be getting a lot of good news and see how AI can deliver for the human world, easy get overexcited. And in the same time, it also will generate distraction and overwhelming, right? Like all this good news, how can I adopt? What does that mean to me? But in the meantime, because of that, it actually generated fears of uncertainty and the unknown. What does it mean to me and my business? What it would take to get there? Does it mean that I have to put in massive billion dollar? Does that mean that I have to swap my entire talent pool? So those are the questions that will generate, with the excitement that can distract you, but also with the fear that you don't know what to do about it.
So if you were to say one mind shift or strategic action that you believe retail leaders should prioritize in the next 1 year, what would be that?
So AI adoption is not a matter of whether, it's a matter of how and how fast. If you don't adopt, you'll be out of business soon enough. But AI does not mean you have to have massive investment from the start. You can start with small steps and accumulate the unleashed resources to continue evolving, and it will eventually get to the ideal state. So leaders should actually develop clear multi-year strategic plan on how the organization will adopt AI, and then identify what it takes to achieve those plans step by step, one step at a time. So my advice, if we want to sum up in one sentence or one word, is no need to fear, but do not hop on without a plan. Focus on the progress, not the completion.
Beautiful. Hey, thank you, Jacqueline. I encourage retailers to adopt bold innovations from digital twins that stimulate store behavior to agentic AI or autonomous systems that automate store operations. Because retail merchandising is shifting from an intuition based art to a precision science. Today's decisions are more real time, hyper local, and customer informed than ever before. Success depends not only on tech, it also requires rethinking roles, retaining teams, and breaking down silos across supply chain, marketing, and store operations. The retailers who combine technology with agility and execution with insight are the ones who will deliver standard shelf experience and unlock measurable growth. Jacqueline, thank you so much. And it was a fabulous conversation. And thank you for sharing your insights and experience. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Until next time, stay curious and keep pushing the boundaries of what AI can achieve. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
If you like today's podcast, please be sure to leave a 5-star review. Your feedback is important. We always look for comments and recommendations to improve. This show is available on Apple Podcast, Google, and SoundCloud. Please do subscribe. Plus, you can find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube. You can find the links to these pages in the show notes or by visiting us at aisuccessfactors.com. We publish episodes bi-weekly on Wednesdays. Please be sure to tune in for the next episode. Thank you and see you next time.